So I think you have a very technical lecture then from Dr. Paiboon. Okay, so you go into the what they call back to the basic. Okay, I didn't prepare actually I prepared the presentation, but they not allow me to present. So for me, I would rather look at the what they call the commercial perspective and what is the 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 control or the barrier that we still not getting there. To me, the definition of the word bond have two roles. The first role, as we know, that is a financial instrument that a borrower who need a large quantity of money will promise to pay an interest rate to the one who's going to be invest in the long term, and the investor would expect to have a constant flow of income. So basically, that definition of bond in the financial term, you need a long-term commitment which one will continuous perform. So as far as the financial is concerned, you need stability. Yet the other word or the other definition that I see the bond is linking to each other, tie into each other, be connected. In ASEAN context, I think we still miss the second part financially, because we know our neighboring very well, but we don't really know them in the financial context. We know Myanmar, we know Laos, we know Vietnam, we know Singapore, we know Thailand. In terms of the country, in terms of the politics, in terms of tourism, but financially we're still far apart. So the bond in the second context, that means the tie-in among ASEAN financially is not there yet. We cannot do anything if Myanmar still doesn't have a clearing system, checking. So we cannot do anything much except paper money, short-term cash basis. So I think the key is to develop the tie, develop the relationship, develop the understanding that the business that they are doing is pretty much the same as we know and we understand, and how to build the trust in there. So the definition of the bonding for me is still missing on the context of tie-in and the relationship. We don't know what Malaysians are doing in cement or doing in fishery, but we know only in Thailand and vice versa. So the first part is the definition need to be beef up or tie up, and the help, which I'm going to speak on the later part. The second part that I see, the difficulty or the barrier they're still having on the bond, is that the flow of product and the flow of financial is going in a different direction. As Dr. Hui said, the trade among ASEAN is growing. In Thailand, we trade about 25% with the AEC, and another 25% with the greater ASEAN. The product, we know exactly where it's going to go. And it's no problem. We know the container, the ship going to sail to Shanghai, going to sail to Hong Kong, or sail to Singapore. That's no problem. But in terms of financial, it's still US dollar, which is, again, is okay. But the problem is we look at two different angles. When we look at the product, we know how to do the marketing, how to do the strategy, how to sell the product, how to be pricing competitive. But when we look at financial part, we still have to look at New York. We just have to look at exchange rate. We have to go clearing house in London. We have to make sure that investment banker, Deutsche Bank, is going to be coming and bridge between the buyer and the seller in there. So the key is, if we still don't be able to think the same way as the marketing is going, financially it still go pretty much far away. The area that is still mismatched. Problem is supply and demand in Asia is there. We have a whole bunch of funding available in Japan, funding available in Malaysia, tons of money in Singapore. And we need infrastructure, as Dr. Paiboon said, we need 70 billion This is for rail high-speed train alone. This is not talk about many like port. Myanmar have only 3,000 megawatt of power, where Thailand have 10 times of that, and Japan have 100 times of that power requirement. So there's still a lot of need for funding. And the basic funding for this type of investment, you need a long-term stability, which bond is the perfect instrument of financing this type of project. But we're still missing the linkage in the definition of the only one word, trust. How can I trust that the project going to be able to constantly repay the debt or the interest for 30 years? So this is the area that I think the government, the central bank, had to be fostering the connectivity among ASEAN. In the capital market, I think it has been quite a successful transition. I think Thailand Stock Exchange of Thailand is still doing the ASEAN Link, where you can invest in one market and can be spending money on the project on the other country. I think bond market need to be expand and fostering on that. For PTT, we have an honor and opportunity to do what they call cross-border issuing of the bond. First is the Samurai bond in Japan about 10 years ago, and the Sukuk bond in Malaysia about 5 years ago. But it's just only the very small, tiny opportunity. So I think we need to have the authority, the central bank, the government to induce the cooperation on the financing side. The trade part, I think we did very well. We have ASEAN now, everyone exciting about free trade, free capital, free flow of labor. That is very exciting already. But the key part is we need to have a strong catalyst to make sure that the project will be continue at the expected rate of return and expected revenue to come in. I think ADB would be certainly a great catalyst in to make sure that the project will be on like that. Thailand is in the center of land-based ASEAN. Definitely, in order to grow ASEAN, we need land logistics. And it's unavoidable that Thailand is going to be part of that land-based logistics. The key is how to make it connectivity. How could you make sure that the train will run from Singapore into Kunming? That would be very important. We've been emphasized a lot on the what they call road-based logistics, what I mean by truck. But again, with the definition, truck could not travel more than 1,000 kilometers. So you need another mode of transportation, and I think the need is there. The demand is there. The available supply is there, except it's still not bridging. I give you one example. I just have a trip to Japan recently, and we went to visit fund manager in Japan. And Japan, as you know, is pretty much domestic bond-oriented. They issue about $12 trillion, largest in Asia. But the key part is the fund manager, most of them, not talk about speaking English, that's another story, but some of them never been to ASEAN. They don't know us yet. And the more difficult part is they need a single A rating in order to invest in the corporation of that country. But unfortunately, only in Malaysia and in Singapore have that capability, but there's not so much investment opportunity over there. So if the key part is if we can bring not only the business from the North Asia to ASEAN, but if you bring the funding by provide a vehicle of comfort area that they can pretty much believe that it's going to be capability of committed to what you have been requesting for. I think that is a great interest. to all of us. I thought an example for you. Toyota raised bond in Japan with the government interest rate plus 8 basis points. With Thailand, the best we have done is T-bill plus 160. So there's still a lot of gap of availability that if you can connect the financial instrument in parallel of the private enterprise coming, I think that is a great opportunity and it's open up. PTT, we require about 2 to 3 billion US dollar annually, and that would be a great opportunity to searching for funding from the neighboring country. It doesn't have to be Malaysian ringgit or it doesn't have to be Singapore dollar, but it's US dollar is fine. But the thing is, when we open up, we know exactly what is Sukuk rule and regulation, what is the need, respecting Islamic law. This is the type that we have to be educated, and I think is there. You're going to see a lot of demand for funding in Thailand. Infrastructure, financing is just explodes. So I think this is the area that if we can start more communication in the financial instrument, if we have an opportunity to meet, to see, to talk, and that is the area that the private can do and the private can be accelerating. In the past, we leave the job to the commercial bank to be doing. I think it's a time that the private entrepreneur could be able to fly around and meet the prospective people, and we can discuss financially on how we can connect. I think that is my brief summary.